I'm always keen on exhibiting in new places and adventuring in terms of kind of working within a new place. I mean, this was a project specifically that's quite rare for me, whereby I get a period of time in a space like this, Whitehall, and I can make the work and then exhibit it at the end. Specifically, this place is so beautiful, and trying to create some work that's really inspired by Lucerne and the surrounding area was a challenge as well. I quite like the challenge. I have a collection of abstract works. I have a collection of kind of more text-based works, which they're all kind of interlinked, but I've been doing a lot of sketchbook work beforehand, and then blown that up to like this sort of things behind, which are about kind of a conversation that I'm having with myself. Of these sculptures that I've got this wood that's from sort of 300-400-year-old wood from a Swiss house that's here, and the idea of kind of using reclaim and bringing that in. So that's a sculptural element, and I have a series of 3 oil paintings as well, which I'm bringing in, which are paintings from the space. And from the surrounding area, from photographs I've taken along the way, and then a piece that I'm doing on Piers himself, and then a piece I'm doing on the Lady of Lucerne, which is kind of a mythical story about a lady who lived twice, essentially, who lived in Lucerne many years ago. So just a mix and match, but it's bringing together abstract painting, oil painting, text-based work, and sculptural stuff. Being in here, it's a journey, right? It's from start to finish. I've brought some works here already which are rolled and already painted. Some works that I'm making whilst I'm here. We've been out and collected a lot of different sorts of wood, some, bits from houses, and that sort of thing. And now I'll kind of curate this space whilst I'm also still using it as a studio. And it's a real challenge in itself. Is that I've got a series of paintings that are now finished. I kind of understand how they sit within the space, but how they sit together as a thing, I'm not sure. But they all have a kind of interconnected storyline that goes through. I got this typewriter that I'm now beginning work on, which is sort of me just giving a bit of a narrative to the whole of the exhibition, and it will have an underlying kind of current of kind of like an experiment, I guess. I've been reading a little bit about how Paul Klee, the artist who was Swiss-born, how he created his colour theories and things like that. So there's little undercurrents of kind of experiments that are going on, and I'll create a little kind of installation with his ideas connected with some of my more geometric work, and then it will come together, I hope, like a bit of a Wunderkar. Like I've got a vast amount of signs and pieces of text that I've written, which I've now turned into larger signs, and they'll be interjected throughout the space to kind of create a little, somewhat of a narrative, but also just to throw people off track a little bit. And then everything has a story that pulls it back to why it was created here. It's just they're all a bit abstract. So yeah, the experiment thing is probably the ongoing narrative. I'm currently living and working in Portugal, and there are no houses that are built in Portugal using wood in the way that a Swiss house would be built and has been built, at least in the past. You're just surrounded by these incredible buildings. Try and create a bit of a conversation with the city for myself. So I've been walking around the city, I've been collecting random objects on the streets, then putting them into little plastic bags, and I create a little typewriter text with the coordinates exactly where I found the thing, but that's then leading on to kind of a bit more of the kind of experimental thing which I talked about with about clear color theory. And I'm mainly picking these objects up because they have, you know, an interesting color to them, or they draw my eye. Well, I mean, that death becomes a major part of it, renewal as well, recycling, reimagining of objects for sure. Skulls seem to be, without much of an intention, genuinely, they just consistently come back into my life, and that's something really that is the main theme of probably my work in general, is that sort of life is very short, and we have to kind of embrace it and not be fearful of death. So that's certainly the main conversation. Then colour becomes another major part of it. Having read a little bit about Paul Klee, and there's an exhibition in one of the museums here, so there's a good bit of information I taken on there. It's always been something that's in my work, but it's certainly something that within this exhibition I've got the time to develop the theories for myself within it, and what it means to me, and why I'm using some of the ideas behind it. So those are probably the two main themes. The buildings here haven't been destroyed by any wars. There's a really wonderful upkeep buildings in a way that I've not seen people upkeep the gardens, the lake. Everything is so incredibly perfect. You know, the flowers, everything, and that looking after something is incredibly important for me. And looking at that as an inspiration, but to have that mix of old and new as well in terms of buildings. I'm always inspired by woodwork like that, and you can walk down the most kind of derelict looking street here, and you'll still find something that's remarkably beautiful, just hidden in a corner. It is a tourist place. There is a lot of tourism here, but for me, that's not the inspiring part. You know, the part for me is walking and getting lost and finding things, places, objects, beautiful kind of gargoyles or text, carving in woods, carving in stone, that they wouldn't exist. They really wouldn't have survived in most places that I've ever lived. The galleries that are here, they project and curate and create wonderful things, but I feel like I'm bringing something that's, I'm coming here with any fear or anything else. I don't really care what people think of the work, because I've been given this time to just, go a bit free, and so for me, I'm making things that are really positive for me. And I hope that people will come in here and realize how much work I've put into this, how much of an intense journey this will have been in the last 3 weeks, let alone the couple of months before. But I want people to understand the details, understand the hidden messages, but overall go, wow, that was really fun, that was really interesting, and I want to go back and have a look at the details. So I hope people walk on with a little smile on their face and go, I want to go back to that. Whatever it was.